Even before we knew our name, before we understood the world around us, before we even learned to speak, a fundamental ability was already present within us: observation. From the very first moments of life, our eyes turn to those around us, and in that silent gaze, we begin to understand something profound. In the eyes of those who created us, we start to discover what love is, that affection that soothes and strengthens, what pain is, that feeling that warns and marks, what is right and what is dangerous. These first impressions shape far more than we realize. In childhood, our parents and caregivers are not just people who feed or clothe us. They are the first living archetypes in our existence. For us, they represent our first God, the first authority, the first affection, or sometimes the first painful absence. It doesn't matter if they came with intentions full of love or with deep limitations, whether they were truly ready to love us or were somehow only repeating patterns they had received. What matters is that they were, and still are, mirrors of our soul, reflecting everything we need to learn about ourselves and about the world. The way they treated us, how they looked at us, how they reacted to our fragile and genuine existence. All of that is recorded in the most subtle and profound parts of our identity. And I'm not talking about our reason, the things we can explain with words. I'm talking about what is engraved in emotion, in sensory memory, in the beliefs that silently accompany us, often without us even realizing it. Perhaps you grew up believing that to be loved, you have to please, or that showing vulnerability is risky. Maybe you doubt you deserve success, or even find yourself repeating mistakes you vowed never to repeat, the same mistakes you saw in your parents. This video is not an invitation to blame, nor an exercise in judging the past. On the contrary, it is an invitation to deep understanding, to true healing. It is meant to illuminate the origin of our wounds, and above all, to open the way for reconstruction, for the real possibility of being different. Because when we understand that our parents were just reflections of other mirrors, we realize that finally, it is us who have the power to choose what we will reflect in the mirror of life. So, shall we look at this mirror together with more clarity and compassion? I'm Noah Smith, so take a deep breath and stay with me until the end. Oh, and if this content makes sense to you, please subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey together. The Father as an archetype of the cosmos. Ancient philosophy has always recognized the importance of archetypes, symbolic representations that dwell in the human imagination. In the Platonic view, the Father represents the ideal form of order, reason, and structure. He is the pillar that defines what is allowed and what is forbidden, the boundary between chaos and safety. In the emotional life of a child, the father is not just the man of the house. He is often the first contact with law, limits, and the external world. The child looks to him and, even without fully understanding, asks internally, "Am I safe? Can I trust the world?" But what happens if the father is absent, or emotionally cold, or excessively authoritarian? Physical absence can be felt as divine abandonment, emotional rigidity as punishment without love, constant criticism as a mirror where the child only sees failure. What is even deeper is that often we transfer this model to our spiritual vision. How many people imagine God as a harsh judge? How many feel unworthy of love because they project onto spirituality the harshness they experienced at home? The father should be the symbol of loving justice, the one who protects firmly but guides with tenderness. When he fails, and many do, because they too were wounded children, The child's soul creates a version of the world where loving oneself feels risky, where trusting feels dangerous, where obedience does not bring affection, but only relief from punishment. The result is an adult distrustful of love, or a perfectionist who constantly tries to prove their worthiness of existence. And it all began with a look, a silence, an example. The mother as an emotional temple. If the father represents the world, the mother represents the heart. She is the emotional womb, the first home, the first sound, the first heartbeat of love. The mother teaches us about presence, not with speeches, but with caresses, with silences, with repeated gestures that gradually sculpt in the child's soul the idea, can I trust? Am I welcome? Am I loved, even when I do nothing? In the absence of true presence, the child learns to love out of fear. In the absence of listening, they learn to silence their pain. And when care is given with irritation, exhaustion, or constant sacrifice, what the child understands is that love is painful, that caring is a burden, that they themselves are a weight. Simone de Beauvoir said that one is not born a woman, one becomes one. The same applies to mothers. They don't receive a manual, they don't always have support. Many were thrust into a role they weren't emotionally ready for. But the child does not understand this. They simply absorb the tired look as contempt, the hurry as rejection, the coldness as lack of value. And when they grow up, they repeat, or try to do everything differently until they become exactly the same, because without awareness, pain becomes inheritance. The mother is the temple. If unstable, the entire emotional structure becomes insecure. But even ancient temples can be restored. Example, as an invisible inheritance. Have you ever heard the phrase, "Do as I say, not as I do"? Well, the soul of a child doesn't work like that. It's not guided by orders. It is shaped by examples. Nietzsche said that the moral values of a society don't arise from words, but from daily actions. And Kierkegaard stated that the greatest despair of a human being is to live with an identity that is not their own. How many of us were raised by parents who said they loved us, but never took the time to look into our eyes? How many demanded respect, but didn't treat us with respect? How many taught about God, but lived full of fear, guilt, or anger? Spiritually, example is more powerful than any scripture. Francis of Assisi said, "Preach the gospel at all times. When necessary, use words." Emotional inconsistency is one of the most silent and deepest wounds a child can carry. They grow up confused. They ask themselves, is the problem me? Is love really like this? Is the world really this contradictory? And often, when seeking their identity in adulthood, all they find is an echo of what their parents lived, but never said. Example is an invisible inheritance. It's in the tone of voice, in the way one faces difficulties, in how one treats others, and how one treats oneself. If we want strong children, we need to be emotionally strong. If we want empathetic children, we need to show empathy. If we want them to have faith, we need to demonstrate living faith, not just spoken faith. The formation of internal beliefs. In childhood, the mind is a sponge, but not just for knowledge. It's a sponge for meanings. When the mother yells, the child doesn't understand that the mother is tired. The child understands that she herself is bad. When the father doesn't come to the school presentation, the child doesn't feel that he had a commitment. The child feels she is not important enough. And these small interpretations become deep beliefs. I am not good enough. I have to please others to be loved. I'm a burden. I'm not important. These beliefs don't always show clearly in daily life. They appear as fear of exposure, difficulty receiving compliments, self-sabotage of success, unstable relationships. The soul doesn't forget what it felt, even if the rational mind says, that's the past. The body, emotion, and spirit still live in the same place. The antidote: awareness, adult love, new experiences that show the inner child she is no longer alone. The path of healing and choice. You are not what was done to you. Much more than that, you are what you do with what was done to you. This is a profound truth, carrying transformative power. Pain, no matter how early it came, does not define your destiny. The wound may have been opened long ago, but healing can begin now, at this very moment. And this healing doesn't depend on external conditions. It depends on your choice, your inward gaze, your decision to take control of your own story. That child who cried alone, who felt fear, rejection, or abandonment, can now be embraced by the adult you have become. You are no longer alone. Inside you exists a safe space, a strength capable of offering the love that may have been missing in the past. This adult you are now has the power to interrupt painful cycles, to break patterns repeated across generations, and to choose a new path. A path that is no longer a repetition of what happened, but a conscious construction of something better. One of the most important steps in this process is forgiveness. Begin by forgiving your parents, not as someone who minimizes or accepts everything that happened, but as someone who recognizes they were human too, trying to survive with their own limitations and wounds. Your parents were children before they were parents, and they carried pains they might not have even known how to name, that they never had the chance to heal. This forgiveness isn't about exonerating anyone or erasing the past, but about freeing yourself from the chains of guilt, hurt, and resentment that imprison your soul. You no longer need to look in the mirror with shame, guilt, or doubt. You can learn to see yourself with compassion, understanding that all your flaws, fears, and scars are part of your journey. And more than that, you can become the clear and loving mirror you once needed to see. One that reflects your true essence, strong and worthy of love. This is the path of healing and choice. The choice to be free, the choice to love yourself, the choice to rewrite your story. And it all begins here, with you. Now, conclusion. Honoring father and mother does not mean romanticizing what was difficult or painful. Honoring means understanding that they were mirrors, even if broken, imperfect, and full of their own battles. And now, you have the precious chance to be a clearer, lighter, and more truthful mirror, capable of reflecting your essence with love and authenticity. You can be the adult that inner child deserved to have by their side, someone who embraces, protects, and inspires. You can transform all that old pain into deep wisdom, into strength to move forward. You can be light, even if you came from the shadow, because it is in the shadow that light reveals its true power. If this video touched your heart, leave a comment below saying, "I choose to reflect light." That way, I will know that you made it here, that you listened with attention, and that you are ready to reflect something new in the world and within yourself. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. This channel exists to illuminate paths of healing, emotional, spiritual, and existential. And your presence here is a gift that strengthens us in this mission. See you in the next episode. Until then, I wish you peace, awareness, and much light on your path. പൂക്കൾ.